I actually managed to get Nightwatch's S tier before he managed to release, meaning I was part of the 1% for a little while, but now he's available to everyone, so I'm no longer special. It was fun, since it was the only way I was ever going to be able to flex on people just by wearing Nightwatch's default. It was also fun because I was playing the character when they were the most overpowered, when nobody knew how to counter them, and before NetEase decides to nerf them into the ground for no reason at all. I will admit though, going against Nightwatch, he is incredibly fucking annoying. He actually reminds me a lot of Naiad, not in terms of abilities, but more so in the fact that, yeah, sure, they have their glaring weaknesses, but it's not exactly fun being slow to a crawl by Nightwatch, or having half of the map basically be unkiteable because Naiad covered it in her piss. Before you say I'm a dirty survivor main and that I'll never understand the pain hunters go through, I'll have you know right now that I main hunters. You can only stay in Survivor queue for so long before you decide to join the dark side and never go back. I don't think we should ignore what people have to say just because they prefer playing one side over another in a video game. What we should do is consider their opinions to be lesser than ours. 1/3 of our opinion sounds good. Anyways, what were we talking about again? Oh right, Nightwatch, let's talk about Nightwatch. So, Nightwatch's main ability is... Oh right, sorry. His movement speed is 4.64 meters per second, his attack range is 3.2 meters for his basic, and 3.46 meters for his charged. Okay, now we can talk about his power. His main ability is Tempest, aka the Suck, which allows him to slowly pull survivors toward him at a speed of 3 meters per second for 5 seconds. This is assuming the survivor is standing perfectly still, which is probably not going to happen unless they're AFK. You see, survivors can move slightly faster than the speed at which you can pull them, but trust me, they aren't going to be going anywhere. They move at the speed of a snail, and a wise man once told me that a single snail can make a world go extinct. Now, it's important to note that due to the nature of the power, survivors moving vertically from you will have their movement impeded, but survivors moving horizontally won't. So they will try to wedge themselves in a place that you can't maneuver around easily, like a long wall with a window or pallet. It's a good idea to aim the ability towards where the survivor is running, since the Suck has a very large range. Now, I'm pretty sure that it's well documented by other YouTubers that when you use Tempest for at least 2 seconds, you gain 1 charge of Wind Force, and you can hold 3 charges at a time. So what does Wind Force do exactly? Well, my precious viewer, it allows you to use one of his Windwalk abilities. Windwalk turns Mr. Ithaca here into Speedy Gonzalez, increasing his movement speed by 24%, which, correct me if I'm wrong, is 5.75 meters per second. This already sounds pretty damn oppressive, especially since you can combine it with the Suck to make it so that survivors are basically guaranteed to take damage. But you also gain the ability to quickly jump over windows and pallets. Yes, NetEase finally decided to add the Legion to Identity V. God save us all. Now, before everyone loses their minds about this sudden revelation that yes, you can jump over the pallet, I want to remind you that we have characters that could either completely ignore pallets or delete them without batting an eye. At best, this just turns every pallet into a glorified window instead of getting rid of the problem entirely. Don't get me wrong though, this is still good. The movement speed plus vaulting benefits basically make it so that survivors can't create any distance by throwing down god pallets, because you can jump over it and catch up with the speed boost. But Chad, you said that using Tempest allowed you to use one of his Windwalk abilities. There's more? How did you get in my house? The window is open. I live on the top floor. Just answer the question. Fine. Yes, there are more abilities you unlock at first presence, including another Tempest ability. If you felt that the Suck wasn't strong enough, now you have Big Suck. Tempest, Cyclone, doesn't go nearly as wide as Tempest Original, but it allows you to quickly pull a survivor towards you. Wait a second, isn't this just Gamekeeper's power? Well, I guess there are differences. First off, Cyclone can't pull survivors through walls, unlike Gamekeeper, and it also doesn't deal any damage, but it can pull multiple survivors at once. Now here's my hot take of the day. This is probably the worst part of his kit. Its shorter width makes it harder to pull a survivor back if they aren't in line of sight, and it can be easier to counter than Tempest by simply going behind a wall. I understand there are different applications for this. You can use it to pull a body-blocking survivor away from the person they're trying to protect, and you can use it to stop a survivor from vaulting a window or pallet, but I think Tempest usually outclasses it in most areas, except for one, which is camping. If you catch a survivor running to a shared survivor, you can pull them away to attack them and then use Windwalk Charge to catch up to them before they reach the chair. And I'm going to guess that's the best transition I'm going to have into talking about Windwalk Charge. which allows Nightwatch to dash forward a short distance. Hey, wait a minute, this is just Percy's dash. Nightwatch, are you plagiarizing off of your peers? No, sir. See, my dash doesn't deal damage and can be turned by using the camera. I see that, but this is still very similar. I'm afraid you'll have to go to the chamber. No, I don't want to go to the chamber. Poland went in there once and he still hasn't come out. Anyways, besides the things I've already mentioned, like turning and camping utilities, the only other things this ability is good for are quickly traversing the map and catching up to survivors that manage to sprint across half of it. Oh, and yeah, for his second presence, it allows him to have 4 charges of Wind Force and gain 2 charges from using Tempest. There's not much to talk about there, that's literally all it does. Alright, so that should be about it. When Nightwatch was first revealed, I really liked his base design and thought it was cool they were going with another character that was, well, kind of scary, had a scary design, I guess. But I felt like he was a weaker version of Percy and Gamekeeper, capable of doing everything they were doing but worse. But I didn't hate the fact that they were worse. I hated how unoriginal he felt. Everything about his kit felt very uninspired and nothing really original. What few things he does have are still really lame. I mean, Windwalk is literally just a movement speed increase with a pallet counter. But then, the usual cycle began. NetEase announced that they were gonna buff the character, and release the trailer for his S tier and his lore, and that's when everything made sense. Of course, only NetEase would look at a Lovecraftian god and say, we need to make this a hot anime boy, and then proceed to make rip-off Nagito Komeda. I see now, you made another character to appeal to the horny whales and meta slaves that will buy all of his skins. Well, only time will tell if this is going to be a Joseph success story or a wax artist mediocrity. Well, it'll be better than Percy, at least. Now, the video is basically over, but I have a few more announcements to make, and if you don't want to listen to them, then maybe this gun will convince you. The next Stereotypes video is going to be for Perfumer, so look forward to that. Also, I got accepted into the YouTube Partner Program. I'll also try to be uploading more since I think you guys are sick of waiting 3 months in between uploads. I'll also try making more shorts, but don't hold your breath. Anyways, take care.